8 years ago, Morocco walked into a World Cup as nobody's pick and walked out as the first African and Arab nation in history to reach a World Cup semifinal. Today, that same Morocco team walks into MetLife Stadium and finds five-time champions Brazil standing in their way. On day one, this isn't just an opening group game. This is unfinished business. And by the time this match ends tonight, one of these two giants could already be on the back foot in Group C. Stick around, because we're breaking down everything you need to know about Brazil versus Morocco. The squads, the history, and what's really at stake. Let's start with the basics. Group C of the 2026 FIFA World Cup runs from June 13th to June 24th, and it consists of 4 teams: Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. And right out of the gate, Brazil opens its campaign against Morocco on June 13th, 2026, at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, with kickoff at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Here's why this matters. Morocco enters this World Cup not as underdogs, but with unfinished business. They're ranked 8th in the world, Africa's highest-ranked nation, coming off a historic 2020 campaign where they became the first African and Arab nation ever to reach the semi-finals. Meanwhile, Brazil isn't just any opponent. The 5-time champions are hunting for their first World Cup title since 2002. And get this, Brazil is entering its 23rd consecutive World Cup, making them the only nation to have played in every single edition since 1930. So on paper, this looks like a mismatch. But football history tells a very different story. Now here's something most casual fans don't know. Looking at their recent head-to-head record, Morocco has lost 2 of their last 3 meetings against Brazil. But in their most recent clash, Morocco actually came out on top, winning a friendly 2-1 back in March 2023. That win wasn't a fluke either. Morocco has built a squad capable of beating elite teams, and they proved it on the biggest stage possible just 4 years ago in Qatar. This is exactly the kind of script that makes World Cup openers must-watch. A team with something to prove, facing the team that represents the very peak they're chasing. Let's talk about Brazil's side. Brazil announced its 26-player squad for the 2026 World Cup on May 18, 2026, at the Museu do Amanhã in Rio de Janeiro. Head coach Carlo Ancelotti named Neymar in the final squad after a 2.5-year international absence. Wow. Leaving out long-serving defender Thiago Silva and Chelsea's duo, Pedro. That Neymar call-up alone made headlines worldwide. But here's the catch. Neymar, Brazil's all-time top scorer, is still recovering from a grade calf injury and is not expected to be ready for Saturday's game. So, who actually starts? Based on the latest team news, the expected Brazil lineup features Alisson in goal, with Danilo, Marquinhos, Gabriel, and Sandro across the back line, Casemiro and Guimarães anchoring midfield, and an attacking trio of Rafinha, Lucas Paqueta, and Vinicius Jr., with Matheus Cunha leading the line, and the squad depth is genuinely elite. Brazil brings 8 Premier League players into this tournament: Alisson Becker from Liverpool, Gabriel Magalhaes from Arsenal, Casemiro from Manchester United, Bruno Guimarães from Newcastle, Matheus Cunha also from Manchester United, Gabriel Martinelli from Arsenal, Igor Thiago from Brentford, and Ryan from Bournemouth. There's also a leadership story here. Marquinhos and Casemiro are splitting the captaincy duties for this tournament. One more injury note to track. Right back, Wesley has been ruled out of the entire World Cup due to a muscle injury sustained in Brazil's friendly win over Egypt, with Manchester United-bound midfielder Ederson called up late and reportedly tested at right back in training. Now let's flip to Morocco, and honestly, this is where the story gets really interesting. In attack, veteran En-Nesyri remains Morocco's most lethal finisher, and he's the man who ended Portugal's 2020 World Cup dreams with a now famous header. If you remember that moment, you know exactly what this team is capable of when it matters most. Their captain is a Champions League winner, fresh off another Champions League triumph with Paris Saint-Germain. Right back Hakimi returns from injury to lead what is being called the most accomplished Morocco squad ever assembled. But it's not all good news on the injury front. Center-back Naif Agard and winger Abd El-Zuli will both miss this World Cup due to injury and have been replaced in the squad by Al-Fatah's Marwan Sadine and Engers' Amin Spy. El-Zuli picked up his injury in a friendly draw with Norway, and in that same match, Noussair Mazraoui was forced off with a shoulder problem. His status for tonight is reportedly a late call. The good news? Captain Achraf Hakimi and Brahim Diaz are both expected to start, with Diaz coming off scoring his 14th international goal in 26 appearances in that Norway friendly, and he could line up alongside Bayern Munich linked Ismail Sabari and Bilal El Khanis in a fluid three-man attack. Here's the bigger picture. Because this is now a 48-team World Cup, 32 teams advance to the knockout rounds. That's the 12 group winners, the 12 runners-up, and the 8 best third-place teams. That gives every team in Group C real margin for error. But don't let that fool you into thinking this game doesn't matter. Sources covering Group C are calling this Brazil-Morocco clash the standout fixture of the entire match day, the tie of the group. And there's a reason for that. Brazil single quotes as performances in CONMEBOL qualifying for this World Cup were, frankly, not convincing. But with a serial winner like Carlo Ancelotti now at the helm, and some of Europe's most exciting young talents in this squad, there's renewed hope that Brazil can finally perform on the big stage. If Morocco can get a result here, or even a draw, it completely flips the pressure for the rest of Group C. Brazil would suddenly be chasing points against Scotland and Haiti, with the whole football world watching every move. One last thing before we wrap up, let's talk about where this is happening. MetLife Stadium will host 5 group stage matches at the 2026 World Cup, featuring powerhouse nations including Brazil, France, Germany, and England. And Brazil versus Morocco kicks off that entire run. This stadium isn't just hosting a group game and going home either. Following a round of 30 match and a round of 16 match, MetLife Stadium will also host the World Cup final itself, the largest singular sporting event in the world. So in a way, tonight's game is the very first chapter of a stadium story that ends with the World Cup final. On July 19th, Brazil and Morocco get to write the opening line. So Brazil, the 5-time champions chasing their first title since 2002. Morocco, the team that already proved in 2022 they can beat anyone on this stage, and beat Brazil specifically just 3 years ago. To completely different stories colliding on day one in front of a sold-out MetLife Stadium. Who do you think comes out on top? Brazil's star power or Morocco's momentum and motivation? Drop your prediction in the comments below. And if you want more World Cup 2026 previews like this, every match, every group, broken down before kickoff, make sure you're subscribed, because we've got 47 more teams and a whole lot more games to cover.